Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another round of the Loeries Creative Hours. So amazing to have all of you with us. Always appreciate all of you making the time to be here and listen to amazing conversations. And today is going to be, I think, one of the most exciting ones that I've been looking forward to. So overall, I'll give you a bit of background. So for the last few months, what the Loeries have been working on is how to put in place a Loeries Youth Committee, a group of amazing young individuals who are going to take our industry forward from across every sector that we touch as the Loeries, be it from brand or the agency or the production side. And we went across Africa and the Middle East looking for some amazing individuals. And I'm going to share some of that, some of our insights and some of that experience with you as we go through our chat today. Just a reminder for anyone who hasn't got their Loeries entries in right now, Loeries entries close on the 31st of May. So please, if you haven't started, go through that process, start it, and get your Loeries entries into this year to be recognized as some of the best creative, game-changing creative from across Africa and the Middle East. Special thank you, obviously, as always, to all of our amazing sponsors. I think one of the things we've always highlighted is that, Loeries as a nonprofit organization, we could not do the work that we do if it wasn't thanks to all of our amazing sponsors out there as well. So please go onto our website and you can have a full list of everyone who's supporting the Loeries and all of the amazing work that they're doing in their organizations as well. But first, moving on to our chat today. First, a warm welcome to Loeries chairperson and CCO of Grey, Fran Luckin. Fran, thanks for making the time to be with us.
Thanks for inviting me, Preetesh. Very cool to be here.
Amazing. And then also if we can say hello to Gale Maimane, who's a director at Darling. Hi, Gale.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi.
Amazing. Thanks for joining us. And Taurai Mtake, who's joining us from Zimbabwe. Taurai, who's a graphic designer. Welcome, everyone. So just to give everyone a bit of background, we have 15 amazing young individuals who are going to be part of the Loeries Youth Committee. Gale and Taurai are just two of those amazing individuals. We also have 5 amazing mentors who are going to be part of this process. And today what we're doing is, again, it's a sneak peek. So we're going to have a look at the journeys of these 2 amazing individuals. I'll try and see if I can coax some of the other Loeries Youth Committee members who are online to maybe come on board and say hello at some point. We'll ask them. We'll see how they feel about this. Zainab, I see you're also online. But just to say hello to a few people who are online as well. Thank you for making the time. We can't go through all the names, but Beyond Bachani, who's joining us, Brian and Jagi, one of the other Loeries Youth Committee members. Hopefully we can get you on board to say hello at some point. Kabelo Mabaso, Nabantu Sibeko. We have Rosemary Mabasa, who's also joining us. Robin Phillips, also one of the Loeries Youth Committee members as well. Sydney Mbele. Hi, Sydney. Sydney's our board member and the chief executive of brand at Sanlam. He's got an amazing campaign out asking you to live with confidence. So go have a look at that. Taurai Mtake. I'm guessing that's a relative, Taurai. and Taurai smiles over there as well. So thank you to everyone who's joining us. Also, we have a massive audience joining us on Facebook. So everyone who's joining us live on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Just to let you know, we can't pick up your questions directly here. So if you do have any questions, post it on Facebook. I have Prudence, who's in the background, who's having a look, and we'll be able to share your questions and then we'll answer it from there. But firstly, I think maybe Fran, just to start with you, I mean, you've obviously been involved with Loeries for a number of years in different capacities. why is it so important for our industry to actually make this space to bring more youth participation in?
I think that we need, as an industry, we thrive actually on fresh inputs and fresh ideas. So one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you if you're a creative in this industry is to get stuck in your ways or to get formulaic. Young creatives bring in a fresh perspective, and they bring confidence. I think that kind of confidence of, well, let's do things differently. And especially people who've grown up in the last sort of 10, 20 years with the massively changing media landscape, the impact of digital technology. There's kind of a fearlessness which is really refreshing. There's that willingness to experiment, that willingness to try new things, and a kind of courage, like a boldness. So I think that energy, that kind of young, youthful, brave energy is vital to keep pushing the boundaries creatively and to do great creative work. And I think the Loeries, as the organization that champions creativity in this country, I think it's a great space to bring in bold young creatives. And quite often a creative person joining a big agency, they may not feel that they necessarily have a voice or that they're that significant. And actually, we need to give people a place to speak out, to bring their ideas. We need to make sure that young people in the industry feel valued and feel encouraged to speak out, because we need their input.
I think that's such a great point, because if I just from a personal experience, I have to tell you, when I remember starting up, which I feel like I can say now, many years ago, it was an environment where you came in with your skill set, but no one actually said, hey, what do you have to say? What do you have to contribute? It was purely just come in, execute, learn and execute, instead of bringing my experience into it. And you're absolutely right. One of the key things that we want to do is ensure that it's not a one-way conversation, but it really is both ways, and we both learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So let's meet the first two amazing Loeries Youth Committee members that we're going to meet over the next few weeks and months. And I'll give you a chance to maybe introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself. So Kale, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself and your background, and then I'll ask you a few more questions.
Cool. Hi, my name is Kale, but my full name is Kale Regui. I go by Kale for people that can't say my full name. I'm a film director and I work through Darling Films right now. I'm coming to you guys live from Johannesburg. It's my one down day this week. We have a few shoots going on and I really wanted to make time to be here. I think it's important and I'm excited. About me, I'm fun, I talk with my hands, I'm loud, I work in this crazy, wild, entertaining, exciting industry. And I think at the end of it all, for me, I think a lot of how you would potentially get to know me or see what I am about or what I do is through my work. I don't necessarily, even though my job is probably 95% talking, I rarely talk about myself. So I would say that things that are important to me as a filmmaker are definitely representation and visibility and telling stories, and particularly in the branded space, working with agencies and brands to tell stories that are sort of relatable to me, which somehow always ends up being completely different to what is necessarily mainstream. But I feel that with the work I'm doing and the work that a lot of my contemporaries are doing, there is a big shift. And I'm interested when Fran said there's a level of braveness to us. And I think the funny thing is it's more of a not knowing any better than being brave necessarily. So that's what I do and that's who I am. And yeah, I'm excited to be part of the youth committee. I'm excited to be able to add my thoughts and my opinions and of those of people similar to me to this big, larger conversation that is important to all of us.
Amazing, Kale. That's an amazing background in terms of who you are and some of the work. But tell me, why did you choose to apply for the Loeries Youth Committee? What made you go like, yes, this is something I want to be part of?
I think, well, I think that it's like really important. So when when I started out in the industry, I first started in agency. I did a few internships in agency, and it led me to understanding what I wanted to apply my skill to. And I think through the journey of like, so what? It's a short journey. I'm small. But like for the past like 5 to 6 years working and growing in this space, I definitely felt lonely. I definitely felt confused. I definitely felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And if I can help other people coming behind me avoid those types of things, or share information with those more senior and sort of like way more present and powerful in the industry to know what it feels like to be young and coming up and what our thoughts and feelings are, I want to be a part of a conversation like that. And in my other private time, I work with an organization called Girls in Film. And we sort of are how many chapters? There's 7. So 7 chapters globally. Mexico just opened now. We're looking at Brazil, London. We also have a group in Prague and the ladies in Amsterdam. And we all work to sort of contextualize and give real raw information about what it means to be a filmmaker in this world, and give not even a leg up, but practical guidance to young people that are femme, women, people that are non-binary, people that are not men, sorry, but to help them out in understanding what it means and what they need to do to be successful in whatever department they choose. So I think it's just another way for me to be able to continue that type of work away from just making films and commercials.
Amazing. And I love all of the additional stuff you're involved in as well. And I think it adds such a richness to your personal experience and to what you're going to bring to Loeries Youth Committee as well. So maybe moving on to Taurai. Taurai, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello again, everyone. So Taurai is a graphic designer. My name is Taurai Taurai Mtake, and I call myself Tavitake. I started design in 2011 when I started at ZIWA, Zimbabwe Institute of Digital Arts, where I graduated being second top student in the diploma class. And after that, I went to South Africa, where I studied my bachelor's degree in visual communication. And my thesis is what got me to know about the Loeries, because I won a gold Loerie 2017. Well, for 2018. But yes, my project was mainly about reviving Bantu symbol writing, which is what I'm mainly passionate about. More of a designer that wants to let the other youth know that when we design, we need to look for inspiration within, which Professor Saki Mafundikwa always says that African designers, young designers, we need to look from within. And this is what I could, that those words got me to where I am now, in terms of how I could say big I've become in terms of the work I've been doing. So that's just a bit about me, because I could go on in terms of where I've come from and where I'm trying to go, but I'm so happy and glad to be here. And I will also mention that I'm part of the Graphic Designers Zimbabwe GDZ, which is a graphic design group where we're trying to get Zimbabweans or young graphic designers in Zimbabwe to also speak out, to get their work out there and to help each other and to work together to collaborate. And yeah, for now, that's what I will say.
Thanks. It's amazing. It was so interesting when we did the initial chat, because we said it's not an interview. It was just a meet and chat and greet. When we did the initial chat with Taurai, you've been traveling around, strange enough. You were in Guernsey at the time. So, I mean, even then that time. So you completed your application when you were in Guernsey, right? So it wasn't even from Zim. Oh, awesome. So
True.
what made you...
When I applied, I was in Guernsey at that time.
So what made you, sitting in Guernsey, having some time with your family, make you go, hey, this is something I want to be part of?
Okay, So a little short story, which is also something I mentioned in the interview. When I was applying when I was entering my work for the Young Creatives Award for 2 years, I think now, because you could only apply it if you're 27 and below, which I turned 28 this year. I never got to be like selected in terms of my work because the competition was tough and there was really great work. I mean, Tepo and all, like their work was really great. And I have a friend called Osman Chuma who knows also about the Loeries, who then mentioned that Loeries want to start the young creative community, the youth Loeries community. And I did say, okay, send me the link, let me just, give it a go. And I started researching about it and I really loved the idea. And I said, no, I want to be a part of this. I want to be part of the conversation. I also want to represent the graphic designers or designers in general from my country. And I am here now and I'm happy to be a part of this. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And thanks for being part of this as well. I think one of the other key things that's really, really important, why we want this group to be together is in the communication space, we have such a great responsibility to make a difference in society. And right now we know society has challenges, not just COVID, but we've had the second pandemic in terms of GBV, the gender-based violence issues. But other than that is like we have this responsibility for seeding ideas that really move society forward and use this transformative imagery for good. So maybe again, going back to Fran on this as well. I mean, Fran, why is it so important, I think, in our industry to actually understand and actually impart this knowledge into people who are joining the industry in terms of the responsibility we have as an industry to society and how do we make society move forward in a positive direction?
Look, I think anybody in any industry, I think we all share that responsibility, right? I mean, society isn't going to change unless we all make a concerted effort to change the way we think or to change the inbuilt prejudices and injustices. But I do think that we're in the communications industry and we actually are people who we create communication. We know how the levers work in social media. We understand how those channels work. We understand how to get a message out there. We know how to amplify it. We know how to use PR. That's what we do. That's our speciality. We know how to craft a message in such a way that it gets attention. And we also know how to pull levers to get it out there, to get it noticed. We understand how PR works. We understand all that. So we actually have quite a lot of power in our knowledge about how communication works and how channels work. And so we actually probably have an obligation to use that for good, because we have the power to get positive messages out there in a way that people will want to engage with them. And we need to actually use that. We need to use that knowledge because we have the understanding of how public communication works and how to get a message out there and how to get it passed on. And so if we use that knowledge, we can actually get the right information out there. And we also, we're behavioral change people. So what we do for our clients all the time is to try and change people's behavior. And so we need to use those skills, that knowledge, those powers in various endeavors as well. So if we've got the ability to change behavior, we need to try and use that for good.
Fran, do you think, if we had to look at our industry and we take a hard look at it across Africa and the Middle East, do you think we still are getting a significant amount of stereotypical messaging coming into advertising from certain sectors?
So this is a really interesting, and I'm probably not going to answer it the way that you want. And I've been asked this before, and so very often in advertising, we use stereotypes or types actually, because you've got 30 seconds to tell a story in a film, and you don't have time to establish character. So you want the viewer to look at the scene and go, oh, I know what that person is, And so that's a tricky thing you know, when you're looking at more nuanced character-based communication, you kind of need a little bit more time for that. And what happens very often is multinational companies they'll do a TV commercial, you know, for a product which is aimed at mothers, and then they'll want you to cast somebody who, the minute the audience looks at the screen, is like, that's a mom. And we've got space to play in that. We've got space to wrestle with that. I mean, I think the way that we cast commercials it can be very powerful as well. So I think in the past few years, we've seen different representations of what a mom looks like. And I don't know so much about Africa, but I know, you know, in Europe and the US, companies are getting more comfortable with showing single parenting or same-sex parents, things like that. So we do have the power to change that. I think what you're coming up against is quite often quite siloed thinking, where, you know, you've got a 30-second commercial, you have to sell rice. It's obviously aimed at moms, so you have to have someone in there who looks like a mom. And that's where you end up with the stereotyping. And I think as agencies, and I think agencies have had quite a lot of success with it before, where you come back and you go, well, what if we cast somebody who's not a typical mom? Why don't we appeal to, I think there's an understanding amongst a lot of marketers that actually the nuclear family doesn't really exist anymore. Gillette, for example, is one, we did a commercial for Gillette, which was about single women raising sons. A lot of the Gillette work historically has been about fathers and sons, but the client realized that in this country, a lot of men are raised by women, grannies or moms, single women. And so you need a willingness from the client's side to go, hey, let's reflect reality that's not stereotypical. But you do have that trap where you're sometimes under pressure. You've got a 30-second commercial and you resort to typing because it's a quicker way to get the message across. But and it can be hard work sometimes to push back against that. But when you do, I think you end up with much richer communication. So Gillette has had, all over the world, Gillette has been doing commercials which are redefining masculinity, reflecting different facets of masculinity, different facets of being a man. And they're having enormous amounts of success with it because people are going, wow, finally I can see myself out there, you know.
Yeah, completely agree. I think one of the things is you need this brave mindset to actually go in and tackle some of the challenges.
I think you need a partnership with the client because you both have to be. So I think a lot of times agencies push back and they're, please, can we not do the woman in the apron again? Yes. But then you need the client to buy into that. In the case of Gillette, you know, they were amazing because they were already on board with that. They were going, we've seen the data, like, let's do a commercial that reflects real people's lives. So you need that partnership.
Amazing. You know, one of the supporters of the Loeries Youth Committee, who's going to be very, very actively involved, is the Unstereotype Alliance, which was convened by UN Women. And just to tell you some of the stuff that's actually happening, you know, it's really about trying to create a world without stereotypes. And there's a really amazing conference that's happening now in the next few days at all. So therefore, in terms of all of the insights that's coming out of this, in terms of the representation of women and gender from across the world, we're going to take all of these amazing insights and ensure that our team from the Loeries Youth Committee have access to this and are able to use this to basically help our region across Africa and the Middle East, ensure that we can eliminate some of these gender-based stereotypes and ensure that we can have this brave work that makes a difference. I mean, Carly, I know as a director, you generally would get work that's already at a point where you actually need to go out and film. I mean, how do you tackle some of the challenges sometimes if you have to work on a project where you're seeing these stereotypes coming up? Because I can see from your personality, you've got a strong personality and you've got some strong views in certain areas. How do you tackle it if you have a situation where what you need to work on does not necessarily align to your personal values?
I think the thing about it is that, what is the job? Who isn't bringing me into the room, and what are they asking to see? So I think the easiest way is always for me to lead from my gut. And I think if I believe that a character changing is going to make the story better and communicate better, for the brand and the agency, I'll suggest it, I will, but if they can't do it, I can't force them because I don't write the original concept. But what I have done in the past, or at least I've been lucky enough to work on projects that allow for space to collaborate and edit things to feel contemporary, I think is the way I look at it. As opposed to what you have is wrong, the answer is usually what you have is interesting. We can make it more interesting and more relatable if we potentially change this character from, like Fran was saying, for example, being a mom with an apron to a mom with a career, and how you can cue that and who is she? Because that's how I grew up. Do you know what I mean? So I think what I do, and I think what I'm also encouraged by the people that represent me, by Melina and Lorraine, I don't know if they're here, but encouraged by them is to be honest and to be real and to tell stories that will relate. Because people are brave and bold and they live this life, so they know those things, you know what I mean? But I have been very lucky to work with a lot of agencies that are very open to collaborating and making that work. And their clients too, I think what's one, so I've done a little bit of work with Unilever. The first work piece was a Joker piece, which was about GBV and sort of breaking the stigma around the silence and not being able to tell that you're being, abused or you're in a situation that you want to get out of. And since working with them and on that project, which is clearly trying to break and move society and people out of situations that they shouldn't be in, we have later then done more work with them. But even as a brand overall, they're trying to make that a thing where they want to bring in female directors to break the gaze that isn't one that reflects the times we're in. It's a partnership through all the parts of the line. Everybody has to want to make a change. And I think if I were to be told what I was doing was wrong, then I'm wrong, and I guess they won't work with me. You know what I mean? There's also that level of it where you have to be honest about the circumstances. We can only push so far when we're allowed to push. And that means the collaboration between the production agency and the client, all knowing that we're taking a step to be brave together to make a difference.
Absolutely. And then, Taurai, just from your side, I mean, in terms of the communication that you're seeing, and especially whether it's in Zimbabwe, whether from your travels recently as well, are you happy with the way you see women portrayed, or do you see are there any challenges that you pick up, or are you happy with the overall portrayal of women in the communication that you're seeing?
Okay, so far, I think from what I've seen here in Zim, yes, in terms of advertising, women are trying, well, there's still a bit of a balance in terms of how we include women in terms of visual communication and all. So far it's okay. I think it's fine. But in terms of looking at, though you didn't ask, but looking at it from a different perspective, from being a female designer or having heard stories from female designers or artists, it's a bit difficult for us to break through out in the world. And it's a whole different experience when it comes to that. It's a bit tougher for the female side to break out, but also coming back in terms of how visual communication is from the other side where I was traveling and all. I think in terms of representation, it's been okay. Well, from the things I saw, not on things I haven't seen, but so far what I've seen, I think it's so far there's been a bit of a balance in terms of trying to merge and to show what's been happening also with the stereotypes and all. But so far I think there's been a balance, and yeah.
Amazing. I think one of the key things is as the weeks and months go on, as we work together and we work with the Loeries Youth Committee, I should also tell you, you both don't know this as yet, and I don't know if I have ever had a chance to mention, but Fran knows this. I'm not a big fan of of just Loeries Youth Committee. It was a good working title in order to get to this point. But the first thing that we both are going to do, along with all of the other amazing youth committee members, is to actually give yourselves a proper identity, a proper name and a proper identity. So I'm looking forward to it. So just in terms of the members who are part of it, just so we can show everyone. Whoops. There we go. Sorry. Let's see if my screen share is going to behave. Nope, not behaving. Okay, I wanted to actually share some of the Loeries Youth Committee members, so I'm going to try and do this in a different way. Let's see if we can do it like this. Take 3, everyone. Technical, there we go. Now we can actually see everyone who's on this. So some of the Loeries Youth Committee members, just introducing everyone who's joined them. We have Ashley Lloyd, who's a creative director at Studio Lloyd. Banzi Kasana, who's an art director at Duke Group. Brian Njagi, who is the creative lead at Isabar, Kenya. Taurai, who everyone's met. Robin Phillips, who's an art director at MNC Saatchi Abel. Kale, who's on with us right at the moment. There's Lamise Davids, who's an art director at MNC Saatchi Abel. Zapriana Atanasova, who's a digital strategist and content lead. Dwayne Aspeling, who's a digital content specialist at the Fushini Group. We have Kaukele Mokele, who is a creative writer at TBWA. Zainab Mita, who's a junior art director at FCB. Zamazwide Rumalo, who is a creative director at Publicists Worldwide. Lebokang Korka, Lebo, I'm so sorry, I'm going to butcher your surname. It's terrible, terrible. I'm sure she's online as well. Koko Tadi, who's a senior brands and partnership manager for SA in Nigeria. Iroro Alo, who is the creative copywriter for Inside Publicists in Nigeria. And Sepo Tumahole, who's a senior copywriter at Joe Public United. So for everyone who's online and been wondering who are the final 15 that we got down to, this was just to give you a background. This was an immensely difficult process because we had such amazing CVs and motivations as to why individuals want to be part of this body. And we've come down to this 15. So we're really looking forward to working with everyone. Fran, what do you think is some of the things that we can learn from some of the younger members? As you can see, we've got an amazing group of people. I think at every point there's an opportunity to learn. What is it that we can learn from our Loeries Youth Committee?
I think, well, I mean, I think perspective, like talking to somebody, you know, who's grown up in a very different world from the one I grew up in. I mean, just to hear their perspective on life. You know, we know that there are generational differences, and it's great to always hear somebody else's perspective on how they see the world and what they think is important. And also for me to learn how people are experiencing our industry now, because it's changed a lot. You know, I was fortunate enough to go into the business at a time when I worked for a very small agency, and I had major contact with the people who'd started the business, and I was very lucky. But I don't know if that experience is the same now, because agencies are that much bigger. It's a lot busier. So just also to learn, you know, what the experience is like now. What are the advantages? What are the benefits? What are the things that are great about working in our industry? I mean, and also the obvious things, you know, like, you know, this is the generation that's grown up probably with social media, and gaming. And so to just kind of get a look and see at how that's being used, how social media is being consumed. I'm always amazed at the way social media and memes have changed actually the way we structure language sometimes. So that construction on social media, I'm sounding like an old fart now, but anyway, just gonna go with it.
We'll our old age. We'll
okay, you and I, yeah.
The Loeries Old Age Committee coming up soon. That's our
no, sure, absolutely. The old fogey committee. But I mean, I'm fascinated by the way that social media has changed the way we construct meaning. Like if you look at that meme, absolutely no one, me, like at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? Like that's a way of constructing a sentence that I've never seen before. And I really love that. I love the the way that people are deconstructing meaning and deconstructing language and even deconstructing like semiotics, the way that things are communicated. And I find that very refreshing because I've been used to doing things a certain way. When I watched the series I May Destroy You, the editing was so fascinating for me because it broke all the rules. There were jump cuts, there were like illogical, and like I wouldn't necessarily have thought to do that because in my world, like that, those are against the rules. But it is something like I want to know from the youth committee, what are the things that I think are rules that aren't rules now? Like, you know, like show me, and even if I don't initially understand, that's also cool. Like I love sort of experimenting. I love sort of finding ways to destroy what's been and make new things. So I'm looking to learn fresh perspectives, new ways of doing things, but also insight, like how can we make our industry more attractive? Like, how do we get kids in school? Like I did when I was at school, I wanted to be in advertising because it seemed like a great profession. Like, how do we bring that back? You know?
Amazing. I want to be a little bit sneaky because
no.
We're allowed to be sneaky as a group, right? I mean,
Are we?
I see some of the other Loeries Youth Committee
Oh,
members.
Sham, are you going to pick?
I see a massive drop off coming now.
Are you going to pick on people now, Preetesh?
Let's pick on a few people.
Oh man, you're so mean.
Prudence, can you make me the host, please? See, this is one of the things.
Prudence, don't do it. Use your power for good, Prudence.
Let's see if I'm trying to use my power for a bit of sneakiness. Let's see if Prudence will, there we go.
You're the host now. You're the host now, my friend.
So let's
the power.
We're a small group of friends. I don't even know if this is going to work, but let's try this. Kaukela, I'm making you a panelist. Let's see if we can sneak in and drop in on you. Where are you? Let's see. This is how you lose friends, by the way, Fran. I should tell you, it's like you have people attend a innocent
in their lunch hour
and go like in your lunch hour. Hi,
they've got a tuna sandwich. They've got a tuna sandwich like jammed right in their mouth, and then you ask them a question. Nice.
Oh, it's not allowing me to. I tried to get Kaukela on, and it didn't allow me to get on. Okay, let's try Robin. Robin, you're next. You're on this last week. Oh, there's Kaukela. Hi, Kaukela. How you doing? I know it's very sneaky. You can say hello.
Very sneaky. I'm not even like appropriately dressed.
I know.
You see, Preetesh.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
Hi.
Cold calling us.
Cold calling.
Imagine. What an ambush.
It's an absolute ambush. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let's get a guy on board because I feel lonely as the only guy here. So let's see if I can get Brian. They're not expecting this. So Robin did this last week.
So you look fine. I just want to tell you, you look fine. You look great.
Girl, thank you.
This old thing.
Hi, Brian. How are things in Kenya, Brian?
We're good. Yeah, thanks for the ambush.
But you sorted out a nice background, Brian. You planned this. You got a nice background going there.
It's for the office meeting.
It's very nice.
I was ready.
Yeah, you were.
Let me see if there's anyone else I can get. I think, okay, for everyone else, if you don't mind, we're going to keep this group for now so I can say hello to everyone and we'll get you all in at another time. But again, Kaukela, Brian, Robin, so amazing to have all of you as part of the youth committee. This is what you're going to learn. So this is the fun part. This is what you're going to learn in the youth committee, how to be able to deal with life's little surprises, including being able to hop into any webinar, even if you're unprepared. But you guys are great. This is perfect.
No, this is not how this works. We have 9-to-5 jobs, okay, that spring a lot of surprises on us every day. So when we come here, everything here mustn't be a surprise. It must be organized so we know, okay, this is when we need to hop onto a call and look presentable. And this is when we can be in our PJs and just chill a bit.
I wish you guys were in the PJs. Then I'd be even more jealous. I'd be like, oh man, I have to dress up to get onto this, and you guys are all relaxing at home. You know, I just came into this from doing a talk at a South African Association for the Conference Industry, and the entire thing was about, I spoke about about innovation in a disruptive world. And I think that's the key thing that we're all really going to learn as part of this youth committee as well. It's like, we have to constantly innovate and change and be able to take all life's little challenges, including being thrown into a webinar when you least expect it. Isn't that so, Robin? Robin's used to this, right? This is good for you. This is easy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always on a call with you now, Preetesh.
The only thing that's a problem, and I'll tell you, is that not being able to meet all of you. I think the only people I've met you in person, obviously Fran and Robin, those are the only two people I've met. And the biggest surprise was, Robin, when I met you, how tall you were, because we only like see each other on this, and I have no context of that. But I mean, just to say thank you to Robin, Brian, and Kaukelo for being part of the Loeries Youth Committee. Maybe before I let you go and hide behind the camera again and continue to chat with Taurai and Kale, Kaukelo, what are you hoping to get out of the Loeries Youth Committee? Why did you apply to be part of this?
I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself, something outside of the agency, and just, I guess, contributing to where I feel there have been some gaps in advertising concerning the youth specifically. And I think there's a lot that we have ideas about changing that we haven't necessarily had the opportunity to bring to the table. So I think this would be a great platform for us to, you know, amplify those concerns or raise solutions that will benefit the collective. And yeah, I think I'm just excited to get our views across more. I said a lot in my interview that I can't remember right now, but I'm excited about creating all the changes that we want to see in the industry that we're going to be leading in the next coming years. So that's my main position.
Amazing. And as I said, you know, you're all inheriting this industry, and you're all going to move it forward, and also you inherit the Loeries. To be honest, every single one of you on this call is an owner and a shareholder in the Loeries just by being in the industry, because we're a non-profit. So we're here to make sure this works for you. Brian, on your side, I mean, why did you decide you wanted to join this, and what made you apply?
So from a personal perspective, I love learning. I love learning from different people, different backgrounds. And I think this for me was one of those opportunities where I could get people from across the continent coming together and sharing ideas, even beyond the continent, actually. And for me, that was one of the key reasons I applied. I also found it useful, like, I don't want to massacre her name. Is it Kogelo? I found it, yeah. That
like
name.
Gautrain, Gauteng, Gau.
I have so many South African friends, but I still struggle with the names. I think it's part of the reason I'm here anyway. I'll learn the names as well. I like what she said about getting to push the boundaries of what we can do as youth and as young people, because I think there's a space for us there where we can bring new ideas to the table and also learn from people who have been here before us and they've done greater things than we've done. And for me, that's the other reason I thought it would be a nice opportunity to have, to learn from my fellow youth and to also learn from more experienced heads in the advertising industry. Yeah.
Amazing. And hopefully one of the other important things is it's so important for us to break out of our silos to ensure that creativity is really pan-African and pan-regional. And I think that's what's amazing, to bring your insights and to be able to say, you know, I'm proudly Kenyan, or I'm proudly South African, or I'm proudly Zimbabwean, or wherever any of our other panelists are from. But the important thing is to come and say we're all in the same creative journey and we all have the same passion in terms of the work we want to do. Robin, how about you? What do you want out of this? I mean, why are you happy and accept to be part of the Loeries Youth Committee?
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I think one of the big things is really to be, you know, exposed to different thoughts and different ideas. And also just kind of the different challenges, I guess, that we all face. And I know, like I mentioned last week around leadership and, you don't need a big title like a CEO or a CCO in order to lead. And so I'm kind of really excited to be able to learn a lot and for us to kind of lead from the bottom up, and create change from the bottom up. And I guess also the mentorship part of this, I think, is something that I'm really, really looking forward to. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being part of this journey. Hello, Brian and Robin. Thanks for allowing me to hijack you guys and bring you online. See, this is it. I love the energy when we can do amazing dynamic stuff like this. So I'm going to let you all hide again. Just something for all of you to think about. Remember, one of the key things I highlighted today is that Loeries Youth Committee is a working title. So please go back, think about what's the identity you want for this and the identity you want for this organization that's best going to represent you. And I look forward to being able to do one of these chats where we come back and share with everyone what you all have decided. I think that's so important as part of this process, is that you really feel ownership of it and feel ownership of Loeries and everything that you do. So looking forward to working with all of you in this.
Looking forward to much more. Thanks, Preetesh.
Thank you, Preetesh.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to slowly start putting you all back as attendees. There we go. And everyone else who's on, who unfortunately couldn't bring on, as I said, we have 15 Loeries Youth Committee members. We will, there we go. Let's put Brian back. Change role to attendee. There we go. So we're back to our original list. So it's so amazing to hear from some of the other Loeries Youth Committee members. And I think what's exciting is because Carla and Taurai, you haven't had the chance to meet any of these individuals before. I don't think you've met professionally either, right? Do you know anyone in our group?
I worked with Robin on that job I told you about.
Ah, brilliant. So there we go. We do have some connections. We can keep going over there. I think maybe just to also ask you as Carla, what do you think the Loeries Youth Committee, what do you think the Loeries and the industry can learn from all of you who are going to be part of the Loeries Youth Committee?
I think it's so hard to say before we've met or, we've really gotten to get together. But I think the importance of the dialogue isn't like deliverable based, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's not a 1 + 1 = changed industry, like it's all over and we're like all better. I think it is still very much a notion that bringing ideas and thoughts and people to the table that are usually left out of the discourse, that sort of has a stake or a sense of power over the way we work, will create a space for the ideas to even trickle through so that we could change something. I think it's a big thing about possibility. It's like, as creative people, we can't solely be driven by the deliverable. We are, because we all work in advertising, but I think what the industry can gain is the understanding and the importance and the potential application of what we create out of this discourse, in the sense of changed ideas and a new way of being. Because I think there's so much to learn, and I think what my counterparts and the other guys expressed is so fair, but it's very difficult to give you a catch-all, one word, but change, to be honest. Something new, something different. And I really like what Fran was saying about how she looks at memes in relation to the way that things have been written, or even shows like I May Destroy You. To rewrite something is incredibly hard when you don't know what it was before. So for us to break whatever rule, whatever, if we're going to throw the book out, we've got to know a little bit about it first. So I think the discourse is what will be gained. Might not be interesting to everyone, but I think it can create change.
I think you're right. It might not be interesting at first because it's always tough trying to get down that journey. But I always go, it's like physics, right? I always go, these laws of physics apply to everything. It always takes more energy to set something in motion than to keep it in motion. I think once it starts and we've figured that out, I think it's going to be a powerful, powerful force. Taurai, from your side, what do you think? I mean, if you have a look at this, what do you think the industry and the Loeries can learn from the members in this group and from the youth in general?
Okay. Basically, from what I've seen from when you added the other committee members, I mean, I love the energy already. I love how there's energy, you know, as compared to when it's like all so professional and so quiet when you're like in boardrooms and stuff. But then with this, like you can be free, you can talk, you can say what you have on your mind. You can, like you're given time to, your opinions can be heard. And from all this, what I think the Loeries will learn is that we're now going on to a different level. The youth are now being heard. We're bringing something new. We're all coming from, also considering that we're all from Africa. I'm sure we also have some, I still keep bringing this back to say, Africa has been sort of put down when it comes to all this like creativity, and where some of us, the young ones, are also still looking outward for inspiration. Where in this case, I think the Loeries is going to gain also some more youth in terms of youth that are looking to get more African work out there and supporting the Loeries and just the energy around the creativity around Africa. That's what I think the Loeries is also going to gain. And yes, like Fran was also saying about breaking boundaries for the young ones, I feel like, well, with some, if you learn something a certain way and you grasp it, there's also a way to break it. So I think the first thing is also like to learn how to do it, which is why I'm also happy to be here, that we're going to learn from our mentors as well. And then we see how we can better improve whatever it could be in terms of if it's design, how best can we learn how it was done back then and how we can do it in the future. So I think that is also like a step into the future where we're looking backward, but then also going forward in terms of how to improve the system and how the youth also can be heard. Yeah.
Amazing. And you know, I think it's a two-way process, and therefore one of the things been quite strong on is not calling anyone mentees. Susie Bowling, the CEO of the Loeries, has always been a big champion of this and going, there's no mentees. It's really a two-way street. We learn from each other in this process and help you in this. I mean, one of the partners as well who's going to come on board and it's going to be amazing in terms of supporting all of you is is Facebook. There we go. Hopefully that shows on screen if you can all see that. So as part of their environment, social and governance resources, they're going to be coming on board and helping us better understand, you know, some of the key challenges that are being faced in the world and how as youth we can actually tackle this. So I think, you know, a big thank you as well to the entire team at Facebook, which is Elisma and everyone who's involved. I think all of you have met the Facebook team during the initial chats and discussion as well. So we're looking at bringing some resources. Maybe, Fran, one of the important things as well is, you know, like it's very easy to set up a committee like this and the committees become talk shops where nothing really happens. But communication is so important. And I think that's one of the tools we're going to be teaching the group and working together with the group on, is to ensure they have the right communication tools. How important is it, do you believe, to when setting up initiatives like this, to be able to ensure that we have the right tools in place and the right communication structures to take this out to a wider audience?
Well, I think it's always important. I mean, I'm always favor, you know, action. You know, I do like a good talk, but I quite like, you know, I think that the emphasis needs to be, if a great idea or a great initiative comes out of a session, then you put plans in place to do it. You know, so either we develop it a bit more, and then we look at how would we actually do it? How do we actually make it happen? So I think I always favor that. So, you know, if an idea comes up and if it's still very unformed, then your next step is, okay, let's go work on that, come back, and then how would we actually make it happen? And I mean, I think also vital to that understanding is nothing ever works 100%. Like, that's one of my philosophies. Like, you know, so don't go for perfection. Just go for trying it. So if there's an idea or there's a thought or an initiative, then do what you can to make it happen. Obviously not, you won't be able to implement everything that comes out of there, but pick a couple of things. And then actually look at how you would implement it, even if it's just 1 or 2 over a year. Just try and really then look at a plan to how we'd make that happen. Because I mean, for me, somebody once said the smallest action is greater than the largest intention, and it's a massive thing. So let's look at the end of the year and see what 1 or 2 things did we actually bring to life, even if they didn't work 100% and we learned a lot and then we did it differently the next time. That's also okay. I mean, we are in the communications industry and things are changing so rapidly. We need to change as well,
Amazing. And I think that's good advice for us to end on, because we're out of time already. So I know, right? I see Kale going, really? Did an hour go by? This is how I feel every single week. Every single week, I feel the same way because the conversation is so great. So Fran Luckin, who's Loeries chairperson, CCO of Grey, and also one of our mentors. Thank you so much for making the time to be part of this and all the amazing insight. Also to Gale Maimane and Taurai Mtake, who are 2 of the 15 who are going to be part of our Loeries Youth Committee. Thank you so much for making the time. I know you're both also quite busy with everything and on your day off as well, Kale. So really appreciate it. I should say, yes, thank you, Kale. Any parting words before we go?
From me?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, actually, not really, but I think I'm quite excited to get into this process and to learn and to grow and to sort of like be part of a discourse that could make change. And I agree with what Fran was saying about the aim is to do something, not necessarily to be tied to the notion of something perfect. So I'm very excited to be part of this organization in this way.
Amazing. And welcome on board. Taurai, any parting words from you before we leave?
Well, not really, but just to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this committee and also to share my thoughts, to also share the voice of other young people as well. And also like to create this amazing thing that I think we're gonna create some good stuff, apart from, like Fran was saying, not being perfect, although I try not to be a perfectionist, but also rather than just talking about doing something, but actually executing. So I'm happy to be a part of the team. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, Fran. Taurai, very quickly, also a huge congratulations on being awarded that amazing scholarship to continue your creative journey in Sweden. We'll discuss more about that. So you're going to find Taurai joining us from Sweden in some of the chats. Amazing, amazing achievement. Looking forward to you bringing all that knowledge back to Africa and the Middle East. But to all of you, thank you so much. To everyone online, thank you for joining us. And if you haven't got your entries in, don't forget, 31st of May is the deadline for Loeries 2021. So please get your entries in. Thank you to all of my amazing guests. Thanks again, Fran. Thanks, Kale. Thanks, Taurai. Have an amazing afternoon, and we'll see you all again next week.
Thanks, Preetesh. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.